Hello everyone, welcome back to the booth. We've caught our breath during the little break there, thanks to Marshall and Zach and Sheldon and all the guys and girls over at the news desk. Hope you've enjoyed that innovation over the last 3 days, and in particular the ticker that's gone along the bottom of the screen.
Yeah,
I've been glued to that for the last 2 days. It's like, he just beat him. Really, what's he on? 3-1? It's just fantastic. So well done to all the boys and girls there. Now, I guess coming into this weekend, you could say that one of the really big storylines, BDM, was, you know, of a team coming together, a great big powerhouse super team. They've got this huge journey to complete, and now here we are, just one match away.
Yeah, it's been a long 14-day cruise for Team Mana Deprived as they've come here from Canada and now are on the brink of Pro Tour victory.
Certainly are. Of course, we are also referring to Star City Games Black and Blue, where Gaudenis Vidugiris is the last man standing for SCG Black. And the deck, you can see how this deck got put together. Sam Black did a deck tech for us very late in the weekend.
Yes.
We asked him approximately 3 weeks ago last Tuesday, and it wasn't until round 15 they finally said, we'll let it out of the box. So that's why it took so long to get to you. We have to be fair to the players. They put a lot of work in, and look, here they are reaping the reward. Gaudenis in the final. You said 2 of your favorite decks in the whole weekend. They've made it all the way.
Absolutely. You know, we scout the room, we look for deck techs, we say, you know, we pencil them in, and it's just like big circle marks around the blue-green spirit decks. Big, it's like, what? There's a miracle deck? Where is it? Show me. Who's playing it? How's he doing? What's his record? You know, and it's funny because at the time that we featured Alexander Hayne, he was not, actually did not have the greatest record in Constructed.
Sure.
He had started off 2 and 3 in Constructed with the deck.
And it's always a little nerve-wracking for us when it's someone, you know, we don't know a lot about, and they haven't done the cameras before, and you're like, are we just giving you a kind of mediocre deck at home to look at by someone who's going to play and, you know, finish 9 and 7 and, you know, be back in a year's time?
Regardless of record, it was a path of deck construction that no one else had taken for this event.
Yeah.
And that was fascinating.
And literally no one else had taken for this event. It wasn't like, oh, we were just missing the silver heart, otherwise we were 56 of the same 60. It was just an entirely different path to
and a completely different access from which to attack the format.
Yeah. The ocean.
One of the things I just want to also, you know, kudos to Team Mana Deprived for real. Alexander Hayne, David Kaplan have 2 top 8s for Canada in the last 3 Pro Tours. They're working together. And we've talked about this, that, you know, Channel Fireball has left this kind of indelible mark on the Pro Tour with their success. And you see the implementation with Star City Blue. A number of young players get together and they say, we're going to form a team and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to pull each other up by our bootstraps. 5 of us have top 8 appearances at the Pro Tour. Well, we're going to get that up to 8, 9, 10 appearances. Star City Black, that's a team we've seen, you know, closely, maybe in the shadow of Channel Fireball a little bit with John Finkel and Zvi Moshowitz at times and other Hall of Famers, Jelger Vigashma, and we've seen that team. But we're also seeing other teams, Team Panic. This is in the Bay Area, sort of, in the shadow of the Fireball guys.
10 of them.
Yep.
Number made day 2, 10. Straightforward. Everyone.
You know, a resurgent Canadian Magic scene. I mean, to a lesser extent, they don't have a team name, but how about the Swedes? How about the Swedish Magic scene, which it seems, you know, like it's blossoming again.
It is loaded. You go Joel Larson, a terrific pro. You go Elias Watsfeld, 18 and pro. You've got Martin Berlin. You've got Dennis Rashid, who made the top 8 here.
Yeah, back-to-back top 8s.
You know, there's just a ton of great players in there. There were 5 players in the race. Coming in, Kenny Oberg, of course. He was just 2 points adrift from Larson. But the World Magic Cup belongs to Dennis Rashid for Sweden.
And we've talked about this idea that if you're a good Magic player in your community and you know other good Magic players, there's always a leadership void.
Yeah.
You know, someone has to be the guy to pick up the reins and say, guys, we're going to work for this event. We're going to prepare for this PTQ season.
I'm going to say, look,
we are going to prepare for the pre-release.
If you're sitting at home and thinking, well, I know some guys who are pretty good, and you know, my girlfriend's pretty good at Magic, and we could play together. Well, do. You know, you can do this at every level.
It's more fun.
It is, because we've done the lonely drive back from finishing third at a PTQ at 4 in the morning. There is no such thing as a lonely drive at 4 in the morning when there's 5 Magic players in the car going, "You idiot! What did you do in the semi-final?" Because Magic players are like that, as we know. Incidentally, I did spend the break looking at Canadian Magic, they've got some good Pro Tour winners in the past. Paul McCabe, Dallas 96, Terry Borer 97, New York. Gary Wise was part of a team, Potato Nation, in 2000.
I lost to them at that tournament.
Yeah, so did everyone. It turned out. And it was Gabriel Sang, of course, not Terry, sorry about that. Gabriel Sang won a team event in Atlanta 2005. But since Philadelphia 2005, when Stephen Wolfman made the top 8 there, I played him at GP Toronto last year, or year before. It was a 6-year gap then to David Kaplan, making the world's top 8 in San Francisco.
Right, lost in there in 2004. A.O. Paquette had I think, back-to-back finals, right?
Sure. Yeah, because he lost to Julian Naughton, right, with Astral Slide at Worlds that year. So that is what Alexander Hayne is looking to emulate. Now, I can say, I'm going to cross my fingers, because I haven't looked at every match result in Magic history in the break. I think this would be Lithuania's first Pro Tour champion. I'm going to run it out there and just hope no one can prove me wrong.
So a titanic matchup of national champions here.
Absolutely. Yep, so we'll be seeing them back again for round 2 in August at Indianapolis for the World Magic Cup. Hope you'll be able to join us. It'll be like this, but with flags. It's going to be amazing, that tournament. Talking of amazing, can I just show you something? I can't actually show you at home, but I can show him. So I'll talk to them, and you just have a look at that for a moment. So it turns out we've got another event somewhere down the line. This is called the Players' Championship, and they call it that. Anyway, they call it that because we sort of put 16 players who we think might be okay at Magic into a room.
Are you joking with me?
And hope they're all right.
Is this just a joke? How is this a real tournament?
Yeah. After the final, don't go away, because at the news desk, that piece of paper is going to get turned around towards the camera and will tell you when all the math's been added up and tallied and definitively quantified the 16 players for the Players' Championship. If this paper is anything like the final item, it is the largest single gathering of ridiculously talented Magic players the world will ever have seen in one small room.
How many thousands of lifetime pro points in the room? Is it over or under 3,000?
Oh, no, I got over under at about 5,000.
Okay.
I'm going to give you... give me over under at 3,000? Way over. Way over.
Wow.
It's crazy. And we'll have that for you at the end of the finals. But the good news is that the players are ready for that final. We have the Spirits deck of Gaudenis Vidugiris. We have the Miracle deck of Alexander Hayne. Buckle up. It's time for the final of Pro Tour Avacyn Restored.
Cryptic Command is nuts too.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you are around the world. Welcome to the final of Pro Tour Avacyn Restored here in the fabulous Spanish city of Barcelona with me, your host, Rich Hagan, and the Pro Tour historian, Mr. Brian David Marshall. We are ready to go with Gaudenis Vidugiris against Alexander Hayne, and already Gaudenis Vidugiris is away with an Avacyn's Pilgrim on turn 1. So there you see the board. Avacyn's Pilgrim on the left for Gaudenis Vidugiris, and yet to play is Alexander Hayne. So here comes Hayne on turn 1 with Evolving Wilds. And Brian David Marshall, I know this is a hideous one to call, but how do you see this 5, hopefully, game set going?
So this was supposed to be a bad matchup for Alexander Hayne, and it is the identical matchup that he faced in the quarterfinals. A quarterfinals against John Finkel that Alexander Hayne won. I have to feel like in the intervening rounds, the brain trust that is at Gaudenis' disposal, and of course his own brain at his disposal, have been able to look at those results, look at what Alexander Hayne did with his sideboard strategy, bringing in Geist Honored Monks. I'm not Geist, I'm sorry, Geist of St. Traft out of the sideboard to trump their Geist of St. Trafts, and whatever else he did. I have to feel like Gaudenis is the favorite here.
Okay.
Upkeep.
Well, we see a feeling of dread for Avacyn's Pilgrim coming up. I feel like fans of Angels have had their money's worth today. That much is certain. And now it's a question.
We've seen Gisela this weekend. We've seen
yeah.
Sigurda. We've seen the Angels back in steerage. The anonymous 4/4 tokens.
Yeah. So
upkeep. Alexander Hayne has tapped Gaudenis Vidugiris' Pilgrim.
Human, says Vidugiris, and referring to the Cavern of Souls.
This will be an invisible stalker.
Yep.
Can I declare ahead of time that I always intend to use caverns for colored?
Can I save a little bit of time, says Gaudenis, and we'll just say, it's always going to be human.
I've looked at my hand.
So, 7 cards in hand for Hayne. He lays land number 3.
Go.
He's going to pass. He's got Think Twice ready to rock and roll at the end of Vidugiris' next turn. Vidugiris has drawn Abundant Growth, which looks like he's about to cast. On
now he's got... I don't know. I have no idea how
By colored, I mean on
Abundant Growth works on a Cavern of Souls.
Well, you just choose what you want to do with it, don't you?
It has 3 different abilities.
Yeah.
Well, so it's just not as clear what he's announcing at this point.
Indeed.
I mean, using colored mana, but not going to make
Not
it
that kind of
uncounterable.
coloured mana. It's not Abundant Growth coloured mana. It's Cavern of Souls coloured mana.
So here he uses it for blue mana. Kind of an unusual situation.
Spectral Flight up the Invisible Stalker. And attack.
Think twice. It's not a terminus.
Mm-hmm. So Hayne down to
Alexander Hayne
16.
draws for his turn. He reveals Desolation Tide.
Off we go. Bye.
Pick up your Abundant Growth. Pick up your Spectral Flight. Pick up your Invisible Stalker. Pick up your Pilgrim.
Seems
Now,
like it did quite a lot for Team Man.
Alexander Hayne's not terribly happy with the card, actually, in this matchup.
Okay.
Because for exactly that reason, that he gives Gaudenis an extra card draw with the Abundant Growth. Obviously, he needs to do it there.
Sure. See an increasing savagery on the right of Vidugiris' hand, now joined by an island. There's 2 Termini, Entreat the Angel, Fort Scour, and a Plains in hand for Hayne. So, Vidugiris with options, it's fair to say. Just the 8 cards in hand right now. But he's only going to have 3 mana to work with. So he lays the island that he'd pre-prepared, and now oh, 1, 2, 3 leads you to Invisible Stalker and Avacyn's Pilgrim, which is pretty efficient for 3 mana. Helps you on subsequent turns, gets you to restart your clock if you want a Spectral Flight up your Invisible Stalker again. Land 5 for Hayne.
Yep.
He's just going to pass. This is not tap-out control, blue-white. That is for sure.
So he's already at 16.
Mm-hmm. But that's kind of okay. I mean, obviously he fears the increasing savagery.
He's got a pair of Terminus.
Yeah.
He's got to Entreat the Angels.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be using the Entreat the Angels at any point in this game if he can help it. That's the kind of backup plan. Strangleroot Geist from Gaudenis. And the Spectral Flight is just going to go back on the Invisible Stalker, and it's, well, here we are again. And we're going to see Feeling of Dread flash back, potentially. Certainly that's what Hayne's...
Well, what he may do is he may think twice first.
Okay.
Because if he draws a Terminus, well, he's just going to do that.
Yeah. So think twice.
Sure.
I'll have a look. Oh, it was an Entreat the Angels.
8-6. You go to 10?
I go to 10.
Good.
So now he's in range because there's increasing
He's
savagery.
looking at the top card of his library, deciding what he wants to do. It wasn't Entreat the Angels, but again, doesn't want to just tap all his mana for that.
But he does want to tap out his mana. 4 or 6 mana, let's just send everything away.
Go.
So, 3 cards in hand now for Vidugiris. He draws Wolfear Silverheart. That's not very good with 4 mana.
Yeah.
And just going to put down Abundant Growth. Well, you see the island there.
Draw
And
a
there's
card.
draw. It's a Spectral Flight. And pass the turn. Advantage Hayne. He is at 10. But, and there's a Tameo the Moon Sage.
He's going to lock down that Abundant Growth land.
Sure.
So it starts off at 4 loyalty. It's about to go to 5 and say, you don't untap over there. So stunted mana growth some more, though Go does in fact draw another land.
I really do want to see a Tameo Thought Scour kill.
Yeah, so explain to us how that occurs.
So if you ultimate
Tameo. Anytime things go away.
Anytime you get an emblem that says anytime a card would go to your graveyard from anywhere, instead put it in your hand.
Okay.
So you Thought Scour, you can Thought Scour yourself to draw 3 cards. Because
Right.
you mill 2 cards.
Yes.
And then
Get them.
you get them, you draw a card, Thought Scour comes back to your hand.
Yep.
Or you can Thought Scour your opponent, get Thought Scour back, Thought Scour your opponent, get Thought Scour back, Thought Scour your opponent, get Thought Scour back.
Okay. That takes a while though, right?
Well, you get to do a lot of it on one turn. You get to, for every blue mana you have, it just happens over and over again.
Yeah.
You know, over the course of the end of your turn and the start of my next turn.
Plus I'm going to have at the start of my turn that's actually my turn and my turn and my turn.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
we
he's
go to
a
7 on
turn
Tameo.
away.
Retreat for 2.
And I'm going to have a couple of 4/4s.
Yeah. Guess we'll be beaten down here.
Go.
He will think very carefully before he attacks. He hasn't very often just sent the guys in.
Well, I mean, he can here. There's no angel. There's
Sure. I'm just... He strikes me as a check and double check player. That's probably why he's playing in the final.
Now, Alexander is at 10.
Tax.
And of course the savagery around.
Right.
So Tameo goes to 8. The Abundant Growth Island will not untap.
Retreat for 2.
Entreat the Angels for some more. So let's make it lethal for next turn.
Go.
And then let's
Can
ensure that
you
even
kill
if you
me?
savagery here, that is not enough. Those very beautiful angel tokens, though I'm sure Gaudenis doesn't feel that particularly right now, look like they may be taking Alexander Hayne to an early 1-0 lead here in the final of Pro Tour Avacyn Restored. But Vidugiris, with lots of cards in hand, to try and do something about it.
That Miracle Devastation Tide was really the key to this game. That was exactly the 2-turn savings that makes a huge difference here. Because if he has to wait another turn or two to do it, he's actually just dead here to increasing savagery.
Yep. Now, will he keep them in? Because we saw a situation where the Devastation Tide would have been really good for him in a match where he'd sideboarded them out, as it happened. Multiple increasing savageries and Wolfear Silverheart. Turn my men sideways.
Take 12.
Take 12. Yeah, there we go. That's it. 1-0 to Alexander Hayne of Canada.
Oh, yeah. Start out 1-3. You're a game up in the finals. Unbelievable. So what are we doing? How are we counting Gaudenis Vidugiris? Is he a New Yorker? Is he a Lithuanian? Is he American? Is he European? Is he South American?
He's a lawyer. There we are. That's the Venn diagram.
Oh, yeah. That actually, yeah, that's...
Yep, that gives you everything, right?
Yeah, that covers it.
Okay, so, yeah. So Gaudenis is frequently seen in his Lithuanian shirt. He is going to be the World Magic Cup representative for Lithuania. He speaks fluent whatever they speak in Lithuania. It's probably Lithuania with an N after it, is my guess. But there are several players with dual nationality who are looking at which country to represent. You've got Andre Prost, for example, will be representing Latvia at the World Magic Cup. Matt Marr, by residential qualification, is going to be representing Thailand. Let's take a look at the top 10 European players, and you will see that Gaudenis Vidugiris is there in that list, because that's who he represents right now. He is from New York, he is an American, but he is also Lithuanian, so we claim him on European soil as one of the top
Whatever
Europeans.
You need to do.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks very much. I knew you were going to do this. When I thought about leaving him off, just so you couldn't do this to me. Gaudenis Vidugiris, though, is in the top 8. He's in the top 2. He could be in the top 1. Dennis Rashid, tremendous weekend for him. Ditto Thomas Holzinger, he'll be back in August from Austria. Robert Jurkovic, I believe, I haven't checked the final standings, but I believe his 11th place finish is enough to take him past Ivan Floch for the Slovak Republic slot at Worlds. Tomek Pedrakowski, well done him, 12th from Poland. He led the tournament overnight at 8-0, fell away very badly, but pulled himself round at the back end, and I hope we'll see him again doing very well, because I was very impressed with him, not just on day one, but when it's all crumbling around you, that's when you really show your mettle and you come back strong, and that's how he got into the top 16. Another Czech player, Stanislav Sivka, 15th. That took him to platinum. Philip Yell of Germany. Vincent Lemoyne, quietly, he hasn't, since he locked up platinum status, we haven't seen him as much. So over the last few months, he's been pretty quiet. But another
Belgian national champion.
Absolutely. With Moraine Leibert already qualified as well as the winner of the first...
Isn't that the second year in a row that the Belgian national team has been quite formidable going in?
Quite good, yeah. So there's the two of them. Tamas Nug of Hungary, 25th. And Antonino De Rosa. Do you want to do the same comedy routine again about Italy, USA, where's he from?
You can have them.
Thanks. So, 26th, another very good performance for Antonino, winner of Grand Prix Turin earlier this year. So that's your highest place Europeans. Of course, you can get complete standings on magicthegathering.com.
So it should be pointed out, by the way, that, and this was pointed out to me by Chris Lansdell on Twitter, Alexander Hayne has not lost a match since round 4 of this tournament.
So there you see Red Monkey. Red Monkey makes unique hand-built leather accessories embodying the spirit of rock and roll. Red Monkey leather goods are designed to break in, and they only get better with age. For Magic, they make a range of bags, belts, and cuffs featuring the mana symbols and planeswalkers. For more information, visit www.wizards.com/magic merchandise. That is Gaudenis Vidugiris. I'm not sure whether he's a Red Monkey kind of guy. I'm not sure. Hand-built leather accessories. Does he strike you as a hand-built leather accessory sort of a guy? You know him better than I do.
No, he does not.
No. As Rashad Miller on the floor says, I think he likes curd apes, but I'm not entirely sure that's what Red Monkey is, Rashad. I think you should have paid a bit more attention to the advertising. So that's Gaudenis Vidugiris, 1-0 down. And Alexander Hayne getting ready to go for game 2. There you see him. What a terrific story, and such a lovely guy as well. Came on set onto the news desk to do his deck tech. So again, once this is over, you want to find out more about the deck, just how you decide, yeah, sure, I can play 16 Miracles, it'll be fine, we'll win the Pro Tour. You can check out that on YouTube, and of course via magicthegathering.com. So Gaudenis is looking at that collection of cards. Now he's not looking at them, but you can bet that he's thinking where they're going to go. He's going to keep 7 cards for Hayne, and it was just 2 mana.
Two planes.
Okay.
I think he would have kept that if either one of them was an island with Thought Scour and Think Twice in his hand.
It's only fair that I'm all this time, right?
It's interesting. One of the things we often talk about, because however much we can show on the TV, on your iPad, on your iPod, on your laptop, on your mobile device, on your giant plasma screen, it is very hard to convey the intensity and the pressure of these situations. I certainly watched Thomas Holtzinger against Paul Rietzel yesterday. He looked to be really working hard to hold it together. You can see the paddles under the water. And I was talking with Marshall Sutcliffe last night about Gaudenis, and we were talking about, you know, his Grand Prix wins, Tampa in 2009, Denver in 2011. You get to the final, there's a trophy on the line. Who are you playing? Well, in Tampa, it was Conley Woods of Channel Fireball, though not then. And in Denver last year, it was Martin User of Channel Fireball. So this is a man who has sat down for a final with a trophy and a check on the line against Conley Woods and Martin User, and he's emerged victorious both times. So, in terms of just keeping calm and keeping okay, and I'm going to get there, you perhaps would say Vidugiris, if not has an edge, certainly has no disadvantage.
He is without flaps.
Is he, as the French would say, unflappable?
Yes, he is.
Ah. I don't think the French would say that. I don't think that's a word in French.
And so this is a 1-land hand.
Oh, so he mulligans to 5.
And again, we saw him win on a mulligan to 5.
Yeah, it'll be perfect now.
In game 5
Yeah.
of the semifinals of this top 8.
Yep.
Man who has not lost a match since round 4 of this Pro Tour.
So that's sort of
Alexander Hayne.
at about 3 o'clock on Friday afternoon. So he's, where are we now? Yeah, so he's probably just over 48 hours since he lost a game of Magic. Oh, I don't know. He might have drafted with some friends over dinner.
You know, that's 11 straight wins, a draw.
Yep.
And then 2 more wins.
Mm-hmm.
13-0-1 since he took his last loss.
It's probably pretty good. There's some Planeswalker points for that. Actually, there won't, will there? Now I think about it. You're not looking at that Players' Championship thing again, are you?
I am. I cannot believe it. I honestly cannot get over it. Now, I was looking to see how Gaudenis's weekend went.
Mm-hmm. So how does he start off in block?
He starts off 3-0 in block construction. In block constructed, loses to Christopher Anderson, wins his first draft. So that's 4 straight wins, 5 straight wins, 8 straight wins. He was 8-1, I believe, at some point.
Mm-hmm. Got to say, he had a pretty tough start. I mean, you start off with a Hall of Famer in Frank Karsten. Then you have Antonino De Rosa in round 2. James Rinkevitz is a perfectly viable opponent. He's
Grand Prix winner.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. No mug at all. So he gets to 3-0 having beaten those. Thomas Holtzinger.
All 3 Grand Prix winners, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Frank Karsten, by the way, if you are a connoisseur of coverage, Frank is now on the European coverage circuit, and I can tell you, very excited to bring this to you. If you don't know this already, You know how in North America BDM they have these big events, they call them Grand Prix, and what they do is they put cameras at them, and people like Rashad Miller turn up with miles of cabling, and then they kind of hire this thing called the internet, and then they sort of put it on a website, and people can watch Magic all day, every day, for like entire weekends. You know about this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, recently the European Union passed an act enabling the internet in Europe, and I can exclusively reveal that Sweden is part of Europe. And next weekend, just 5 days from now, dear God, how much sleep am I going to get? Just 5 days from now, we will be convening in Malmo in Sweden for a Grand Prix. And it turns out that Rashad Miller will be bringing miles and miles of cabling and some cameras and some talent, air quotes, and we thought we might do a European Grand Prix with live video coverage for everyone.
That's very exciting.
So,
now, as far as this live video coverage, we've just watched Alexander Hayne go down to 4 cards.
Yeah, 4 isn't many.
He looks
There's
at
a
his 4.
Terminus, 2 land, and a Geist of St. Traft. You'll be keeping that.
It's not going to get better than this.
Yeah, your 3 won't be much
What's
better.
your 3-card hand? What's the 3-card hand you draw?
Plains Island, and then all the miracles in a row.
Does not see an Avacyn Pilgrim from Gaudenis, which has got to make him feel much more relaxed.
Yeah, and now he's going to feel a little less relaxed as Invisible Stalker comes down. He's drawn into a feeling of dread and a Tamio. That was his opening couple of draws. Gaudenis doesn't have Spectral Flight, so the clock won't shorten demonstrably just yet.
Go to 19.
Ding you for 1. Say go.
And that's it. Hayne draws Geist of St. Traft. That's not a great draw. Gaudenis will presumably send in the Invisible Stalker. Still doesn't have a Spectral Flight. He's going to delay Cavern of Souls, which, as we know, is set to human.
Name Warrior.
Oh, he's gone for Warrior. Okay.
I'll go to 18.
And in we go. Hayne at 18, Garrick Relentless for Vidugiris.
By the way, I'm informed by Doug Potter, Canadian Magic player, qualified for this event. He says, let Rich know that Hayne has been drafting with us all weekend as well, but he's XO'd all of them.
Oh, for goodness sake, Doug. He doesn't need his confidence boosting. You could have just beaten him a few times, just shown him who's boss.
So we're at 5 mana for Gaudenis to just 2.
You see, again, Magic's so many different games. You look at that board state, in 95% of what games that Magic looks like through the years, there's no possible way that the board state on the right does something coherently awesome here. I mean, obviously there's Wrath of God at 4 mana sometimes, but
Increasing Savagery means the attack is for 8.
Yeah.
Another wolf joins the team. Alexander Hayne has fallen.
I recommend
10.
Terminus.
That does not look like he drew a Terminus.
It's an Entreat the Angels. He has Feeling of Dread, which can give him another turn to find a Terminus.
Shows him another Increasing Savagery, and that is enough for Alexander Hayne to head to game 3.
1 apiece. Best of 3 then.
Yeah, you get a look at the lonely feature match area. All the other tables have been put away.
And that's another thing, right? When you are down, it's like there is no other environment like it in the world. A Grand Prix top 8 finals area, nothing like this. Nothing at all. It just feels like you're the last people at a party at a Grand Prix final. Because there's you and a bunch of cleaners and a bunch of staff going, yeah, anytime you like, boys, 11:15 at night, Feel free to somebody win. That's not this. So there you see the information for the Avacyn Restored game day. That is going to be coming your way on May the 26th and May the 27th. It's going to be a tremendous weekend featuring all your favorite Avacyn Restored cards, your blood flow connoisseurs, your blood artists. Yep, you too can recreate all the fun of Pro Tour Avacyn Restored at the Avacyn Restored Game Day, May the 26th and 27th. For more information, visit us at www.wizards.com/Magic Game Day. Yeah, the front table at a Pro Tour, when everyone else has gone, it is as intense an examination of your mental well-being as it gets at a gaming table. And it's not something, like some people love the spotlight. You know, performers, I know lots of performers, obviously, and put a light on, lights, camera, action, can't wait. And there are other people who would rather die than be sitting on camera.
But you know what? I think people who are drawn to the competition, who are drawn when they play Magic, Alexander Hayne described playing Magic, and that same week that he picked up Magic, he was at his local Friday Night Magic store competing in a tournament.
So just like that, he was into the competitive.
So you do not get drawn to that competitive Magic unless you can see yourself winning. You can see yourself playing with everything on the line. I think that that's part of the allure of competitive Magic, is being on the big stage, right? It's like when you're a kid and you're playing in your backyard and you're pretending you're catching the last out of the World Series and you put your arms up and you're like, and you make the crowd noise. You know, I think that this is a very similar but much more achievable fantasy. So, you know, I don't think, I mean, look at these players. Neither of them seem aware of where they are.
No.
I'll play first.
And that's a big deal. If you can do that.
Or they know exactly where they are. They don't seem cowed at all by where they are.
Yeah,
and how many eyes are watching them right now.
Just make it about the table. Cards, table, hands, choices. Worry about all the big stuff later. Spirits and miracles. Not werewolves, not vampires, not zombies.
Vampire tried last round.
Sure. But in the end, Avacyn really was restored. It was spirits and it was angels.
Yeah, Angel of Glory's Rise.
Yeah. You know, we are going to see a world restored at the end of this block season. Of 3 days. Before we take it online.
Feeling of dread, treat the angels. 3rd island, 4th land, 5th land. 5 lands, feeling of dread, and treat the angels.
Now, isn't that absolutely fine? Isn't that almost exactly what you want?
I think you'd like a Thought Scour or Think Twice.
He's keeping. I mean, in a very literal sense, it's a scary deck to play in that when we talk about not wanting it in your opening hand, another way of sort of describing that is to say it's a deck where you want to improve from where you start.
Sure.
So it's like, yeah, this is going to get better.
I also liked what Neil Talbot said on Twitter. He said when you're playing with this deck, your life total doesn't matter. Okay. He said you're +1 until you're dead.
Sure.
Because at some point, you're just not going to give your opponent any more turns, and you're just going to kill them with whatever means you have at your disposal.
Yep.
Whether it's Midnight Haunting tokens, an ultimated Planeswalker, or, you know, a chorus of angels.
Don't forget, when this match does come to its conclusion, there's plenty more Magic goodness coming your way before the end of the show. We are going to announce the top 16 players who are going to be at the Players' Championship, and that is something you will be wanting to book time off for from work Oh yes, that is going to be an amazing tournament. But also, we will have an interview with the winner just moments after his victory on the news desk set. We'll find out exactly what was going through their mind when the final 58 points of Entreat the Angels damage hit them, or maybe when the increasingly savage Invisible Stalker took the trophy home to Lithuania/New York.
What is the 6-card hit? Nope. I saw a lot of green cards. I did not see a lot of mana, and it just flashed by very quickly and back into Gaudenis' deck. He is going down to 5.
I know that you, like many people, play an awful lot of Limited on Magic Online.
I do.
One of the sort of little, I won't quite call it secret, especially as I'm about to tell everyone what it is, but one of the little truths about Magic Online is that if you want to not go infinite, but a really great way to play a lot of Magic on Magic Online is to play block constructed at a good level. It turns out it is a tremendous format to play in.
It's also just the right track for a player who's interested in getting into Magic.
Yep.
You pick up the game, you learn how to play, you play some sealed deck, you go to a pre-release.
Sure.
Like, oh, that was fun. I like these cards. You learn how to boost a draft. You boost a draft at the local store. You boost a draft with your friends. You acquire cards. You now have the cards from a block of from a block of Magic, and you have the ability. Well, maybe you don't have the Snapcaster mages from the previous block, but you have all the keys to return to Ravnica.
And anyway, you found friends by then who will lend you the Snapcaster mages.
Sure.
We're away, and it's planes from Hayne, Hinterland Harbour for Vidugiris. We are tied, down to the best of 3, $40,000 on the line. And the title of Pro Tour Avacyn Restored champion for 2012. Invisible Stalker. You seem to have seen that every time.
And
bye.
He draws a Temporal Mastery.
Let's have another go,
he
shall we?
Explores. Draw a card, play a land.
But that's just fine.
Yes, absolutely.
Doesn't sound very exciting.
Look how far he shot ahead.
So Vidugiris, remember, hampered by a double mulligan, has got Hinterland Harbour to come down. Spectral Flight up my Invisible Stalker, hit you for 3. It's going to be Think Twice.
Is it a Terminus? No.
Pick 3. Go to 17.
So it's drawn a Tameo. It's got Feeling of Dread in hand. It's a very strong looking hand.
Feeling of Dread is kind of a blank at the moment, though.
Sure. But there's going to be a point where it probably isn't.
Right.
And then Tameo, Entreat the Angels, Think Twice, couple of land. There's land 5. Here comes Tameo. And of course, he'd love to target the Invisible Stalker, but strangely, he doesn't.
Nothing more.
Yes. Can't do that, boys and girls. I think most of you know that by now. So there's a Wolf's Silverheart there in hand for Gaudenis. I wonder what it must be like for the rest of his teammates when they're so good. Often there's a dynamic of, you know, when there's 4 of you, you know one of you's really good and 3 of you basically aren't as good. So you're constantly watching the guy in the top 8 of the PTQ and hoping they're going to do well. But here, you've got some of the greatest players in the world watching Gaudenis thinking, is this the right play? It must be amazing. There will be a roar if Vidugiris takes this one. Tameo goes up to 3. Another land from Hayne.
Go.
So 4 cards in hand for Vidugiris. The Evolving Wilds will go away shortly from Hayne. Now 2 mana, Strangleroot Geist.
Okay. combat. Sack this.
Combat, crack, evolving wilds. Just to say, I understand that there are a few technical issues going on for some of you with the feed. We're very sorry about that. The IT department is working at breakneck speed to try and sort that out for you. So for those of you coming in and out a little, we do apologize. We understand there are issues. We're doing all we can.
And meanwhile, Alexander Hayne is doing all he can here. Sacrifices his evolving wilds to thin his deck of a land.
Right.
He has the feeling of dread for the Strangler guys, but first he's going to flashback, think twice, and see if he can't pull off a miracle.
He pulled off a Tameo. That was next. So now
This is fine.
he's going to say, sure, in you come.
Sure. I'll
Kill
go 15.
Tameo. You take 2.
Dice.
Yeah, because he's quite happy to use Tameo as a life gain sink, given that he's just drawn another one.
Think twice.
Think
He's
twice.
gonna cast think twice, even though. But he's at that point where any of his miracles drawn, with the exception of an Entreat the Angels, he can just play them.
Well, he just drew a land that was a plains. He's
He
getting
has enough
quite
to
a lot of
Entreat
land
the
there.
Angels for 2 tokens.
Which is all well and good, but there is an invisible stalker on the other side. With increasing savagery, would get very big very quickly.
He's at 15.
And it's Entreat the Angels for 2 4/4 flyers. So we go back to your Lithuanian national champion, Gaudenis Vidugiris. He had 4 mana available. A 5th would have given him Wolfir's Silverheart mana. But
He doesn't have any white mana for his Geist of St. Draft. Doesn't have a 5th mana for his Silverheart. He can only get in for 3 this turn.
Yeah, and this is, of course, this is off a mulligan to 5, and this is where you see it looks like he's kind of out of it because he's got 4 land in play, but actually he needs 5 and different colours.
Wasn't this a mulligan to 4?
Did he
for
go
this
to
turn?
4?
Oh, no, that was
Hayne.
last game. This is Gaudenis' mulligan.
Yeah.
I get confused. There were so many of them.
Yeah.
But again, both players show you, it's just like, you know what? Sure, you mulligan, but you still play. You still play to your outs. You still mulligan, even though you've already mulliganed, if it's not the right hand to keep. Gaudenis is thinking, as he is wont to do. Block. I mean, Gaudenis is representing Garrick the Relentless here.
The Geist. Go to 12.
You know, the only way he could potentially finish off an angel token.
But Vidugiris has more pressing problems, which is getting some more mana.
Okay, ooh, the top of his deck.
Huh.
Entreat the Angels.
Wow. I'm going to go for 4. Then I can lay a land and Feeling of Dread.
Alexander's at 12. It's going to get
Counterspell. Dissipate.
Attacks.
Interesting. In he comes.
Go.
That was interesting, him attacking there. Feels like...
Upkeep, he's going to tap
Feeling
the
of Dread.
Strangler Geist
Mhm.
and the Pilgrim.
Yep.
Doesn't want him to have access to that white mana during his main phase.
Yep, he wasn't going to be able to block the Invisible Stalker anyway.
Another uncastable Geist of St. Traff drawn.
So, in comes the Invisible Stalker, of course.
9.
Alexander Hayne is at 9.
What have we got? Oh,
Angels.
really? Entreat the Angels again? No counter magic this time, I can tell you.
Put
2 Geist of St.
4
Traft.
angels into play.
Oh. Oh.
There are no zealous conscripts in his future.
In for 8. Vidugiris to 4. There's 24 power
There's
of angels on the table.
still a feeling of dread in his yard. Upkeep. Tap them both.
Both.
He's going to be 1 short, 2 short. If
He's
he draws
drawn
the
a
mana
land.
for his Wolfear Silverheart, he can get Alexander Hayne to 2.
Yeah, makes Wolf a Silverheart. The 3/3 becomes a 7/7.
He did draw the land.
Yeah.
But
Feeling of Dread wins Pro Tour. Sort of. It's just been an amazing card in the top 8. It is 2-1 to Alexander Hayne of Canada. Just 1 game away from becoming a Pro Tour champion. Gaudenis Vidugiris under the gun. 2-1 down. Must win the next 2. Must have no big miracles. No entreating the angels from the other side of the table.
wow. So we are going into game 4. 2-1 advantage to Alexander Hayne. The Canadian player, member of Team ManaDeprived.com. His opponent, Gaudenis Vidugiris, member of Star City Games Black. 2 teams enter, 1 team wins.
Gotta say, I think
this is a
symbols.
harrowing deck to watch.
Yeah. And yet, here's the thing, right? If you lose, when you lose to a miracle, you kind of rock back in your chair and it's like, oh my god, you miracle me, you thunderous wrath me, or whatever it is. And you go, yeah, I had 6 mana. I was going to draw it, tap 6, and kill you.
Right. Is it
It's
any better if
different.
that Terminus is in a Chroma's Vengeance?
It's, yeah, but it feels different. Because you're just praying during their draw step. It's a very, very clever mechanic. Well, there you see GamingEtc.com. We'd like to thank Gaming Etc. for being an official card retailer here at Pro Tour Avacyn Restored for all things Magic. Gaming Etc. is one of the premier destinations on the internet. For more information, visit www.gamingetc.com. There you see what they're playing for. $40,000, that trophy forever.
And a fat pack.
And a fat pack to find out what the cards you didn't see this weekend do. What does Grounded do? Make something not fly? Don't think I saw that this weekend.
No, I did not. Saw a tweet from Dan Lanthier, Canadian Magic player. He said,
Terrific player. Multiple,
yeah, we actually
nationals team.
broke the format.
Are you having to go that far? Would you say is solved and broke? They're 2 different things, aren't they?
You know, Magic players say not close
Yeah, when they mean
pretty
I was
close.
at 1.
Yeah, you know.
Okay.
There's a little bit of hyperbole in the Magic community.
Hyperbole.
You build a deck, a deck no one else builds.
Yeah.
And it gets to the finals of the Pro Tour.
Yep.
You're entitled to say you broke the format in my
Okay.
book.
Okay, so this format got broken twice
Yes.
on both sides of the table.
Sam Black split it in half.
Yeah, I don't think if I wanted. So here's the deal.
Yeah.
If I was going to have
It's your
a
turn,
game of
Molly.
Magic played for my life, I think I would want Sam Black to build it for me. I would want Kai and John to test it for me.
So,
And for someone who would never, ever lose, no matter what, I would want Paul Rietzel to play for me.
You better hope it's a red and white deck.
I think we would start with those design parameters.
Well, I mean, that's funny because the reason that Paul played the deck he did is because Kai and John were testing the Boros deck and felt that they had the best deck.
So, Gaudenis, Vidugiris, 2-1 down. I can tell you he's got Evolving Wilds, Island. You can see his hand there. There's an increasing savagery. There's an abundant growth.
Okay.
Two increasing savageries?
Yeah, it looks like he's going to keep. On the other side of things, it's land, terminus. 5 land, terminus, feeling of dread. That feels like a keep to me.
Yeah.
That feels... yeah, it's like...
Such a bizarre
like,
deck.
What do you mean that's a keep? But if it has to be. And we're away. Game 4. Is it the last one, or is there one more looming?
This has been... my blood pressure must be so high watching this match. I mean, literally hearing drum beats in my ears.
Wow. You should get that checked out.
Could be all the salted meats.
There is that.
This has been just every turn feels like a razor wire to me.
Yeah.
I've been told I could just say hallelujah and it will calm me down.
Is that how it works?
My mana deprived.
Yeah.
He's just trying to get more hallelujahs out there.
Spirit.
Strangleroot Geist in.
See, when you play your creatures behind your lands,
You
have to bring them all the way around to get them into the red zone and then take them all the way around back. You burn a lot of extra calories that way.
Yeah, and when you get Carpal Tunnel in your late 50s, it'll be like, man, I wished I'd played my lands at the back.
We see that a miracle on top. Terminus sends that Strangleroot Geist packing.
Yeah, I mean, it's joint win for the best deck in the room. And it's not often that the best decks in the room do make it all the way to the final, because they falter somehow, or they're just missing a couple of pieces, or they just don't find the right thing off the pond. You think of Sam Black at Philadelphia last year, just not quite getting it when he looked and looked and looked and looked.
Abundant growth.
But this time, really are two tremendous decks in the final. We hope you've enjoyed it with us here.
And another Strangleroot Geist.
In we go.
For Gaudenis, the long way around. Goes around the cul-de-sac and into the red zone.
Sack Evolving Wilds, go and get an island. .24 old Alexander Hayne. 20 lifetime pro points all this season.
Could be hitting 50.
Yeah, Rookie of the Year now. Second at Grand Prix Montreal.
Rookie of the Year. Canadian National Champion. Yeah. First Canadian player to ever hit platinum.
Yep.
Mastering?
I'd like another go.
Land.
And now I'm done for that one, so I'll have this one now. Looks like a think twice.
He gets to draw a card on Gaudenis' turn. Another shot at a miracle. He can play Feeling of Dread if need be.
Mm-hmm.
It's enough mana for both. So it looks to me like he took out his Devastation Tides, right?
I imagine so.
Sure, we could get Rashad Miller to check that for us. He does not have the terminuses. I mean the Devastation Tides in his deck. He took those out to make room for probably Dissipates and Geist of St. Traft.
I think there has to be a temptation when you're only one game away from the end, when you're down, this is, to play quicker, to try and get your cards out there and just,
Good.
okay, can I make this and can I
Joe
hit you?
has never been tempted to play quicker in his life. We've begged him. We've pleaded with him. We've threatened him with violence.
Here we go. Increasing savagery. Resolves.
Okay, so we're going to see... Oh, he's going to... Surprising.
Got a feeling of dread.
Try to see what I'd have thought twice first.
That's a Thought Scour gone into hand. Land number 5. He's only one away from Terminus. Plenty of ways to get extra cards into his hand. Plus, of course, the chance of something miraculous.
It's a 7 power Strangler Geist. Cannot come back from beyond the grave.
No. So this is the time we get the Think Twice.
Is it a miracle?
That looks like a feeling of dread.
Just another feeling of dread.
Mm-hmm. Thing is, every turn it doesn't get in. It's just one turn closer for Hayne.
But, well, like you said, one at this point, with 12 miracles in his deck, 1 in 5 cards is a miracle. Go has to decide what he wants to do. Does he want to commit more creatures to the board? He has a Silver Heart.
Four cards for Gaudenis Vidugiris.
Should I go yell at him?
Play now. Do it now.
So trying to figure out what cards are in Alexander Hayne's hand.
To be fair, it would not surprise me genuinely now if it was not long before Riccardo Tessitore came in and just had a quiet word and just said, you know, just maybe just
He played a Silver Heart and paired it.
ease on.
That is the 6th land. We don't need a miracle. We just have the Terminus in hand.
Go away.
And now Gaudenis' hand looks
Thin.
very plain. I think he has a Geist of St. Traft. He does. He has 2 Geist of St. Traft.
And he has an increasing savagery. So there is a Geist.
No miracle. Think twice.
Looks like he drew Temporal Mastery. Temporal Mastery, Feeling of Dread, Dissipate, Thought Scour. That's 4 very good cards when you've got plenty of mana floating around.
Flashback. Sure.
Flashback, Think Twice. As an Entreat the Angels. And now pass.
Is it 16? He'll take 11. With an increasing savagery on the Geist.
So Vidugiris, 2-1 down here. Knowing that he has a window this turn with just a Plains up from Hayne. But knowing that there are angels in the future somewhere.
surprised that Hayne played the thing twice there. I mean, if he draws a miracle, it's diminished greatly.
Sure.
I guess maybe he was looking for his own Geist of St. Traft.
Take 6, go to 10.
Take 6, go to 10.
He's content to just slow play.
Yeah, because basically if you do it quickly now, you then go, well, you know you've only got one turn sort of thing.
Right.
Whereas here, possibly, Hayne thinks he's got longer than he has.
Retreat for 2.
I would like to just straight up cast some angels.
Okay. 2 angels.
Go.
Alexander Hayne is at 10.
Vidugiris puts increasing savagery on his Geist. Only gets in for 4 though. And then double block, it's just trading for an angel and 4 damage. And the Geist is gone. He has another Geist though, doesn't he? I think.
Does have another Geist.
Yeah. So maybe trading to be in essentially this board state, but with 1 less angel and Hayne's at 6.
Oh, is that a Wolfear Avenger? That's not a Silverheart in hand.
Yeah.
I apologize. I saw the furry underbelly and I just thought Silverheart.
Yeah, that's what tends to happen when I see furry underbelly. I just think Silverheart. 4 cards for Vidugiris.
He's gonna play the increasing savagery.
He sure is. So I'd like this to be a lot bigger. It is. In comes the team.
Block the Geist with both.
Yeah, so exactly as we say, you double block, it goes, 4 damage, Hayne to 6.
Still has an angel.
Then Avacyn's Pilgrim. So Hayne at 6. He now looks. It's an island. You see there, he's got Feeling of Dread. He has Thought Scour, he has Dissipate, he has
He has to
Temporal
think twice in his
Mastery.
graveyard. He has the opportunity to draw miracles on Gaudenis' turn.
Attack.
Go.
Pass the turn. Yeah, it's going to be a big turn for Alexander Hayne coming up. Vidugiris' turn is going to be big for Alexander Hayne. Potentially.
Those drum beats in my ears again.
Yeah. I think it's telling you that we might be close to an end.
White.
There's Geist of St. Traft. Go has
Is that
Avenger
okay?
for end step back the other way. But here we go. Thought Scour.
Has the Geist resolved?
I believe so. Dissipate and Evolving Wilds. The draw was an island. Maybe not. Gaudenis just having a read of Entreat the Angels.
It has resolved.
So Hayne untaps. He's had a string of misses with miracles
Well, again,
of late.
in these sideboarded games, he
One of-
has much lower density, but he does know that he's going to be able to cast Temporal Mastery here.
Knife edge stuff. the turn. Okay. So he doesn't want to use his extra turn just yet. He's at 6. How about this Avenger here to change some math?
Yep.
Yes,
Yeah, that's fine.
says Hayne. That's fine.
Upkeep.
Upkeep. Feeling of dread.
These two.
So, down they go. And now it's draw time. Looks like a Garrett Relentless gone into hand. There it is. So, chance of transformations in the future. Gaudenis says, here's my Planeswalker.
No, he can't.
But I think Hayne is not going to allow that. He is...
Flashback, think twice.
Ah, okay. Flashback, think twice. And then dissipate.
No, it's not hinder.
Yeah. Yes. It's actually going away.
Does Gaudenis want to smash in for 4? Or for 2? No, he passes the turn.
Apparently he doesn't. Geist of St. Traft drawn.
And that's just an Oblivion Ring for Geist of St. Traft.
Yes. So 3 mana. Geist. Away they go. Now he could take an extra turn here. He's attacking for 4. And that's exactly what he's going to do. Take an extra
Gaudenis
turn.
is at 12, by the way. It's saying, at least that's what it's saying in my ear.
Yep. 12 plays 6. Alexander Hayne. Think twice. He's got 2 land. That's not a lot to be trying
Does
to do.
have Feeling
things
of Dread.
There is a Feeling of Dread in the graveyard. There's a Think Twice in the graveyard. Sends it in again. Vidugiris at 8. Is Hayne 8 points away from Pro Tour Triumph?
Yep.
Is Vidugiris moments away from a Game 5? He's drawn Wolfir Silverheart.
He's going to Feeling of Dread these 2 creatures, should he play the Silverheart. He has a Think Twice in his yard to attempt to draw a Miracle.
And he can do both. He's got enough mana
Yeah.
to
He can thin his deck first with an Evolving Wilds.
So between here and Silverheart coming down and Gaudenis forcing Game 5, there's quite a lot of things to occur.
Yes.
Right. Some of those things involve thought. Vidugiris continues to look at Silverheart and Avenger, the full Wolfir package. Combat. So 2 mana. No. No, 3 for flashback on Think Twice out of the graveyard.
Well, I think he wants to think twice first, because he could draw and treat the angels.
And Hayne
It's like this.
gets rid of Evolving Wilds. So like you say, thin the deck. Sunday morning on the far side of North America, Vancouver, where the GP is next month. Looking forward to going
Flashback
there.
Think Twice.
If you're watching
Think
from
twice.
there, you're waiting.
Shuffle well, Gaudenis.
Yeah, you're waking up to see whether Alexander Hayne is going to be a Pro Tour champion. Did not draw a miracle he wanted, so now you're going to see Feeling of Dread for the two guys. The Avenger and the Pilgrim.
Got it.
He says go.
End of turn. Think twice. Sure.
End of turn, Think Twice. There's a Tameo came off that. Gaudenis at 8. If there's a Temporal Mastery anytime soon, not there. There's Tameo and 2 land.
He has enough mana to play Tameo, draw 2 cards.
Here comes the Planeswalker.
Mayo.
8 to 6. Tameo sits at 4, waiting to go somewhere. Will it be down to
Draw
2?
two?
It
is
will.
down to 2.
Draw 2 cards. It's a land and a Thought Scour. And just wants to find a Temporal Mastery.
Thought Scare Me.
Thought Scour me. Away goes Evolving Wilds and a Tameo. Then I draw. Hits an island. His hand is currently miserable. Nothing but land.
Go.
Pass the turn. Gaudenis has a Wolfir Avenger, which he can cast at end of turn. You can see the Dissipate represented from Hayne. Gaudenis also has a Wolfir Silverheart. You can see
It shouldn't. That's not enough to kill him this turn.
such tense moments. It always comes down to this. Doesn't matter what the format is, it always seems to come down to just unbelievable tension.
Gaudenis just holding his hands, still thinking during Alexander Hayne's end step.
Why wouldn't you play the Avenger here?
He's worried that maybe he's holding a Terminus. Thinking about the implications of holding a Terminus.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the implications of even drawing a Terminus. What happens? Can he win?
Sure.
Mapping out the next couple of turns. What happens if he draws this? What if he does this?
And
I
he's
mean,
doing
ultimately,
this.
he's just going to play the Avenger.
Yep. Gaudenis draws. Oh. 5 mana. Here comes. Oh. Yeah. Here comes Silverheart. The 4/4 for 5. Pair with my Avenger. Hayne picks up his 3 land to proverbially decide whether he wishes to dissipate it.
He says that's okay.
The team that can
You declare attackers.
looks to attack.
Flashback, think twice.
Flashback, think twice.
What is this
Flashback,
card gonna
think
be?
twice. Top of the deck is Thought Scour. He's going to Thought Scour. He wants a feeling of dread.
Snapcaster Mage.
He's drawn an island.
Okay.
Like, okay, you can attack.
Okay. Ah. This is turning into one of the great ones. You, Tamio. It's more or less obliged to hit Tamio, because if Tamio gets another go, there's going to be at least 3 cards done. Angel will get in the way.
I take 1. I'm down to 5.
Tamio's dead. Hayne takes 1. He's at 5. There's 4 lands in hand for Hayne. Here we go. Top of the deck. It's... Wow! It's I'd like another turn. Here we go again.
Sorts through his graveyard. Says, what can I draw? What will it be?
Mm-hmm. I'll lay a land.
Treat the Angels would be just utterly amazing.
Here we go. Heart rate time at maximum. It's a land.
We're going to Game 5.
Game 5, boys and girls. Amazing. Amazing. We have had Game 5s just about all the way. Remember when Josh Cho beat Thomas Holtzinger 3-0?
No, because we never got to go to that match, because the other 3 matches all went to Game 5. Both of our semifinals went to Game 5, and here in the finals, would you want this Pro Tour to end any other way than on Game 5?
Me too.
Just amazing. So, just so you know, boys and girls at home, we know you can't wait to see Game 5, neither can we, but we, as we mentioned earlier, we know there are a few technical difficulties. We're going to try something to resolve them. So just for a couple of seconds, we hope, the stream is going to go down. Don't panic, don't touch your computers, you've done nothing wrong. So we're going to pop the stream down, and hopefully in just a couple of seconds it will automatically come right back to you. Okay? So we're going to do the best we can. Bear with us. We're going to pop the stream down. Rest assured, we will not let them start Game 5 till we know you're sorted. All right? So away we go. We'll see you in just a few seconds.
Lithuania, so...
Yeah. Well, you get to go to the States, though. And in New York, you get to play with the best. Or some of the best, at least. I think with my top 8 here and Kaplan's top 8 at Worlds, it's like double the number of top 8s Canadians have had in like the past 8 years.
Because the stream is currently being rebooted, so if you guys want to resolve pre-game and then just hang out for a minute.
Okay, in that case, I'll go to the bathroom.
Yeah. If you want to go one back that way.
I don't know. This year has not been great for me. I started off with the top 64 at GP Orlando. I like lost 2.
Hello again. Hopefully, you can hear us and see us. All things being equal. Unless... Anyway, so hopefully that's all fine for you. Oh God, it's like talent and everything. No, we're very sorry about that. It's not always in our control. We're doing the very best we can. But as I say, Europe's only just got internet, so we do the best we can for you. It is 2-2 here in the final. And as you say, VDM, you wouldn't want it any other way. Quite happily watch this Miracle deck for a very long time. I don't think I'd want to play against it very much. I think that constant... Is it? Because one of the things I find very difficult, I don't win that often, but when I'm about to win, I'm always sweating on what they're going to do on that final turn. It's like, well, I think I've got you dead with my, 12 angels. Have you drawn anything? Is it game over and I want to shake their hand on my turn before theirs, sort of thing?
Rashad and I were just talking about this for Standard. Or
Right.
Rashad was talking about it for Standard. Is he going to yell at me if I start talking about this?
Probably,
I'll just
but
keep talking about it until he yells in my ear and
won't
says,
know.
don't tell anyone.
He can't run very fast.
Alchemist Refuge.
So that's the blue-green guy.
Activated at the end of your turn.
Sure.
Play Ponder.
Okay.
Set up the top of my library.
Yeah.
If I have enough mana, I can draw it now. Or I can make sure I draw it on my turn when I untap.
I could be wrong. I'm just looking at a picture off camera of the feature match area. It looks to me like they sequentially went to the bathroom. Perhaps they were looking after each other's decks.
Watch this while I'm gone.
Yes. Will you look after my sleeves for me? It's my lucky pen. Whatever. But I don't think there's any sense. There's been no sense of momentum in this one. Sometimes you want to walk away from the table because you're struggling. You've been 2 up and now it's 2-2 and you're in bits. That isn't what we've got here. This is just, okay, we've had 4 great games. Let's have one more. So I don't think this little break really favours either player. Would you feel?
No.
It's just, okay, I'll wait a couple of minutes, then I'll play one more game.
See Gaudenis refiddling with his sideboard.
Wow.
Perhaps making this favor him, taking advantage of an opportunity to make some changes that are not apparent to his opponent.
Ooh. That's a clever angle. Do you think it's that focused, or is it more, oh, while I'm sitting here,
He may have just been changing sleeves, but you've certainly seen it,
Look over there.
People do that all the time in terms of just jamming their 15-card sideboard. Something Alexander Hayne does, actually, I've watched.
Oh, right, okay.
He jams all 15 cards of his sideboard into his deck, shuffles, and then pulls out the 15 cards. Possibly even the same 15 that he put in, out. And you have no idea how he sideboarded, what he sideboarded, if his deck has transformed. Sometimes you can tell people a lot about your sideboard plan by how many cards you sideboard.
Seems like a pretty optimal just way of doing sideboarding, period. I mean, why wouldn't you? If you can't be bothered.
It's laborious.
Yeah, so it is, if you can't be bothered.
But,
don't. But if you can be bothered.
If you want to have good operational consistency every time you play, you want to leak as little information as possible to your opponent.
Okay.
That's a fine thing to do.
Since we have a moment, because there's only one player at the table, Magic has lots of jargon. There's a phrase that you used jokingly in relation to the cruise that Alexander Hayne took, and it's something that Marshall Sutcliffe on his Limited Resources podcast talks about a fair amount. And I'd just like you, just for a moment, to talk to newer viewers quite what we mean by the phrase opportunity cost, because it's a oddly corporate phrase. What does it mean?
It might be cheaper to take a boat. I'm going to go to Chicago.
Okay.
Okay? There's a simple way. It's the way I learned it way back when I was in my log cabin high school.
All right.
Trudging 6 miles uphill in the sno. You kids these days have it so easy.
To collect the water?
Yes.
For the morning porridge?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to take a bus to Chicago.
Sure.
Bus is $50 to Chicago.
Sounds good.
I'm going to take a plane to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Plane costs $250.
Sounds bad.
Sure, but it takes me how long to get there by bus?
17 hours.
Yeah. I mean, what's my time worth? How much,
Right.
how much am I giving up? So, to say it's cheaper to take the boat across the ocean.
There are more dollars in your purse doing it one way.
If you have to take time off from your job. I mean,
Yeah.
even if your job is selling magic cards, right? Buying and trading magic cards, locally, right? That's 14 days that you're not doing that.
So opportunity
Not pursuing
cost
your education, not.
is that you no longer have an opportunity to be doing something else that could be more profitable, more pleasurable, more whatever it is.
Just that your time is worth something.
Okay.
But to be fair, I've been teasing him a little bit about that, But to be fair, when you're going to go to a Pro Tour, you'll often go and get there 2 weeks in advance.
Absolutely.
You'll rent a hotel, you'll buy meals, and you'll practice. So what he points out is that he did was his accommodations were on the ocean,
Floating.
not in the city.
Mhm.
It worked out very well for him because all the meals were all inclusive. He said that they have incredibly talented people performing on the boat. I don't know if that's true. I've heard quite the opposite.
Yeah, that's something I used to do, headline on cruise ships. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that.
I've heard they've gotten much better.
To be fair, I've got to say, when it comes to cost, he's talking about this fantastic 2 weeks. The last time I took a 2-week transatlantic cruise, it was a tropical storm, 40-foot seas for 4 days and nights, and 6 passengers died, and I hadn't even started on the jokes. Honestly, I'm not joking.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely true. From Barcelona to Canada. I've done it the other way. Absolutely true. 1996. I swore I'd never go on a boat ever again. I've been on a few times since.
You started playing Magic a week later.
Something like that. All right. Well, I'm glad to say that the 2 players are back at the table. So that's opportunity cost for you. In terms of Magic, it means, yes, you're doing something with a card, but cards are pretty expensive items in a game of Magic. So you want to make sure each one's doing the best you can, the maximum pleasure, the maximum profit from each card in your deck. Let's get down. We are gearing up for the final game of this epic Pro Tour Sunday. In terms, look, let's be clear. We may look in 5 years and say Alexander Hayne, one of the true modern greats. Equally, Gaudenis, Vidugiris, we may look at this performance and say that was the start of his 4 Pro Tour wins in 4 years. But the top 8 itself, we've seen plenty of more star-studded top 8s. And you look at Honolulu, where you start off with Kibler and Finkel and Paolo Vidal de Rosa and Jelka Wiegersma. But take out people and look at 8 decks. Can you think of many Pro Tour top 8s that have been just more entertaining as matches and tightness and tension and drama and interaction?
No, absolutely not. And when we got to the semifinals, we had 4 decks that all mechanically did very different things.
Yeah.
2 of them attacked, but one used hexproof. The other used 2 decks had miracles, but 1 deck is built entirely around miracles. It's been a lot of fun to watch these guys, see how different people attack a format. And especially considering this is block constructed, when you think back to past block constructed formats, where we've often done draft top 8s. But as you got down to the final tables, there were a lot of the same decks.
Jund.
Yes.
Honolulu 2009 would be a classic.
Right.
For that one.
And you just felt like, okay.
We get it. Cascade's good.
Yeah.
Bloodbraid Elf, well done.
It's so good that you want to draw first.
Yeah. Indeed.
But this has been a very exciting format. I'm really, and I think, especially with so many cards in this block, because we had big set, small set, big set, and so many cards are infused into standard, that I think that the block decks that come out of this are going to resonate very strongly in the standard format.
I hope so, because I've really enjoyed seeing these in action. And action is what we are hoping to be moments away from. The players are ready. Let's take Game 5. Let's take you down there. No more hiding places. Gaudenis Vidugiris, Alexander Hayne. It is Game 5 of Pro Tour Avacyn Restored, the final. $40,000 on the line. And the final game of the weekend begins with a Plains from Hayne of Canada. 24 years old, Alexander Hayne. He has brought the miracles with him. Avacyn's Pilgrim for Gaudenis Vidugiris. BDM, who do you like in this final game shootout?
I am so conflicted.
Yeah.
I really am so conflicted. I feel like, Gaudenis passes turn 2 without a land. Feeling of Dread tapped down his Avacyn Pilgrim during his upkeep. I imagine we'll see a little more of that on the following turn.
Go. Upkeep.
Yep, you certainly will. You're a little conflicted.
There's a second land.
Yep. Friend
I mean,
of E deck.
my heart is with Gaudenis. He's a friend. He's someone I know. I want to see him get platinum, but the deck aficionado in me wants to see the Miracle deck win. I'm not going to be sad either way.
Yeah.
I think I will be a little disappointed for Gaudenis if he doesn't win.
Well, he hasn't started off terribly well. One land, made the Pilgrim, got punished, Temporal Mastery, extra turn. So,
But he does not have a fourth land.
Does now,
Draws it there.
but the Temple Mastery wasn't as exciting as it might have been.
Go. Upkeep. Think twice.
Upkeep, think twice. Is he going to be able to send something away with Miracle? No, it's Thought Scour is what he's drawn. But he's got another Feeling of Dread for Avacyn's Pilgrim. But Gaudenis, I thought for a moment he was going to try and Wolfir Avenger. Perhaps I missaw what he had in hand. No, he's going to Spectral Flight his Avacyn's Pilgrim. I nearly said Invisible Stalker just from reflex. So Hayne doesn't have land number 5. Found his way into land number 4. He's got Tameo in hand, but can't get there this turn. Draws land number 5 off, think twice. But now, of course, has sacrificed
And
that
has
ability.
a Thought Scour to draw another card.
Upkeep.
Upkeep.
Thought Scour. Dissipate goes away. Feeling of Dread into the graveyard. It's an island. Feeling of Dread, your man.
Now we're going to see. No, we're not.
No. Vidugiris draws another Wolfir Avenger, I do believe. Into Wolfir Avenger.
Or maybe that's the first Wolfir.
Yeah, perhaps it's double Silver Heart at the back.
Or I think it's actually double Savagery.
Draw for the turn. It's Thought Scour. Now we have enough for Tameo. And that will tap down Avacyn's Pilgrim. How many
Tap down
turns
the
is
official
Avacyn's-
mascot of Pro Tour Avacyn Restored.
Yeah. How many turns has that Pilgrim just been there and not been able to do what it's meant to do?
All of them.
Oh, yeah.
5.
Thought Scour me?
Thought Scour me. Plains goes away. Plains goes away. And the draw looked like a Snapcaster
It does.
Mage. Two Snapcaster Mage and think
Keep
twice
the Pilgrim tapped.
for Hayne.
Go.
There's a Feeling of Dread in the graveyard. Evolving Wilds will go away. Will Hayne continue to burn his way through Feeling of Dread? Or are we at the point now where he kind of just wants it back in the bank for later on? Because there's 2 already gone. This is the 3rd one that would be gone.
I think if he wants to keep his Cameo alive and healthy and robust. Thinking about what he needs here. Get to Plains, wants to be able to cast his Geist of St. Draft. Yes.
It's a lot of land on the right-hand side of the table. Mind you, ended up with a lot of land in hand for Hayne in the last game. That's why we have a
Absolutely.
game 5.
attempted. We know there's a Dissipate in the yard, and
Mhm.
Snapcaster Mage will
Dissipate.
go get it.
As they go away. Dennis lays a forest, passes the turn. Hayne, 2 cards. Tamiyo at 6. Snapcaster into play.
Draws Entreat the Angels, but does not have double white for the Miracle cost.
Wow.
That would have been game over had he had a second white.
5 islands, 1 plains. If it had been any other combination,
Twist.
think twice.
And now he needs to draw 2 more planes for
Yep.
Tapped.
that to matter.
So the Snapcaster attacks for 2.
Yep.
The first 2 points of this final game. Haynes mana base, 13 islands, 10 plains, 4 evolving wilds. He wanted to see plains number 2 of 10. Hasn't yet. Vidugiris, a full 7 cards in hand.
I see another guys to say Traft here.
Here it is. Any amount of card
Think
draw,
twice.
so we're going to see a little bit of that now. Think twice. There's a plains. But as you say, that's only 2 out of
It's only
3
2
now because
3
the
he needs for the casting cost.
goalposts have shifted. Tamiyo at 7.
It's going to go to 8 this turn.
Doesn't have Thought Scour right now. You said you wanted the Thought Scour kill off an ultimate Tamiyo. That'd just make your life, wouldn't it, if you won the Pro Tour in Game 5 like
Ah,
that?
That would be
That'd be
amazing.
it, wouldn't it? It'd be over. Eight on Tamiyo. Hinterland Harbour. Four cards for Hayne. He's going to pass the turn. And there's going to be some red hot upkeep action. Feeling of Dread for the Avacyn's Pilgrim. And Vidugiris will have a think about that. Judge Riccardo Tessitore watching on the background, just keeping an eye on the pace of play, I would imagine. Treat the Angels, Snapcaster Mage, Think Twice, and an Island for Alexander Hayne. The 4 cards he is hoping will take him to a Canadian Pro Tour victory for the first time since Gabriel Sang was part of a team at Pro Tour Atlanta.
Wasn't David Rude also on that team?
David Rude was also on that team.
Another Canadian.
And Gabriel Nassif.
Also Canadian.
Oh, hush.
French Canadian.
Suddenly everyone's Canadian.
It's the cool thing to be.
That's certainly true. I'll be waving the flag in Vancouver. Go you Canucks. Strangle Rootgeist. In with the team.
Who is attacking what? Everybody?
It looks- yeah.
Everybody's coming at Tamiyo.
Now, big moment. Think twice. Finds a plains. No miracle.
But he does get a 3rd white source. He's going to be able to entreat the Angels.
Mm-hmm.
Right now he can make 2 4/4s. He's going to
Yep.
Off the Geist.
So the Geist will trade.
Yep. Tamiyo goes down to 2.
Angels come.
Not yet.
Come back, no?
Yeah. Not till the end of turn.
Okay, fine.
I've got lots to do with my planes.
Okay.
Yeah. Not to the end, yeah. So,
Flashback, think twice.
3, think twices.
there's an entreat the angels there.
Can
Okay.
I?
Treat the angels for 5.
Treat the angels for 5.
Well,
Well, hello.
hi. Can
Hayne
you kill
at
me?
Hayne at 20.
Tap your flyer.
Vidugiris at 18.
Are you ready, Canada?
Wait for it.
Are you all awake and watching?
Better be.
I'm told by Rashad Miller that all the Canadians came pouring out of the players' lounge, tumbled across the hall, and have piled up outside the tension barrier by the feature match area as soon as that miracle came into play.
20 power of Entreat the Angels is sitting on the battlefield here in the final game of Pro Tour Avacyn Restored. Tamio the Moon Sage from Avacyn Restored is on the battlefield for this final game. And the feeling of dread is all for Gaudenis Vidugiris.
Yeah, that was just an unbelievable card for him. What can he draw?
He untaps. It's an invisible stalker.
It's not going to be enough.
6 cards in hand. Alexander Hayne, are you about to become the first Canadian individual Pro Tour winner since Terry Borer in New York 1997? 15 years ago. And now, Alexander Hayne on the verge.
Dennis
1, 2, 3, 4.
plays increasing savagery.
Yep, sure.
No blocks.
Attack Tamio.
No blocks.
No
Tameo's
blocks.
dead.
There it is!
Hallelujah!
Alexander Hayne is your Pro Tour Avacyn Restored champion of 2012. He entreated the Angels. Canada goes wild. There are the Canadians. We've got them on camera. He is going bonkers.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Wow.
the 2012 Pro Tour Avacyn Restored in Barcelona champion from Canada, Alexander Hayne.
Oh, yes. Now that was an epic end to an epic Sunday. Look at that. The 24-year-old Alexander Hayne wins.
One more time for your 2012 Pro Tour Avacyn Restored champion from Canada, Alexander Hayne.
$40,000 to Alexander Hayne. Look at that. You can see the emotion on his face. He is loving every second.
Your Rookie of the Year, your Canadian National Champion, your Pro Tour Champion.
You're everything. Oh,
You're kidding me.
20 power. 20 power of Entreat the Angels. That is just staggering. He's the Rookie of the Year as well. That is just unreal.
Stay tuned for an interview with Alexander Hayne. Back to you, Rich and Brian.
Goodness gracious me. Oh. Every time, come on, you can deal with it. Yeah,
I am
That.
spent.
yeah. Good.
That was unbelievable. Just unbelievable. And keep in mind, and we got to get a look at that
I
out
believe
if we can.
the connect. There we are. Expert analysis from Rich Hagen. They can play Magic. They can't sing.
Oh, my gosh.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more surreal.
That was unbelievable.
That was a straightforward, just to confirm, at the end of all we've seen, that was
Just
20
rip it straight
power.
off the deck.
20 power of Miracle Entreat the Angels, 1 turn kill bang.
Unbelievable.
Ridiculous. So there he is, 24 from Canada, manadeprived.com. your Pro Tour Avacyn Restored champion is Alexander Hayne. And at the bottom of the screen there, you are seeing the confirmed Platinum Pros for 2012 to 2013. And they are some of the greats of the game going by: former Player of the Year Watanabe, Pro Tour champion Kibler, Dama de Rosa, John Finkel, the greatest of all time, Channel Fireballs, Josh Utter-Layton, Louis Scott Vargas, Shota Yasuoka. Give us some more BDM as we go across, because there's a big name coming up.
Nakamura, Costa, Juza, Tom Martel, Sujin Quo, Alexander Hayne.
I have heard of him just recently.
Paul Rietzel, Raphael Levy, Conley Woods, Stanislav Sivka, one of, what did you say, 4 players from the Czech Republic?
4 Czech
Richard
Republic.
Bland. Good job, Richard.
Well done, runner-up from Worlds.
Sam Black, Lucas Sikorsky, Owen Turtenwald, Denise Rashid.
Just amazing.
Robert Yurkovic, Shahar Shenhar, platinum status. Good job.
Here's a plan. Would you like to talk with the winner? I think we'd like to hear what the winner has to say.
I would love to hear what he has to say.
Let's see if there's anyone in Studio B who's still breathing after the last 7 hours of magic we've just seen.
That was spectacular.
Okay. Let's take you over to Studio B. Waiting to interview the winner is Zach Hill, Sheldon Menery, and the host with the most, our own Marshall Koo, Marshall Sutcliffe.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tournament Center. I am sitting here with Pro Tour Avacyn Restored champion Alexander Hayne. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That was a hell of a match.
It was.
How are you feeling?
Well,
are you a little bit exhausted right now? Put us in your seat. Like, Zach and I were sitting here watching your match.
Man.
Yeah. And we had our breath held for half of it, I would say, especially that whole last game. How did it feel for you?
Well, I mean, when I'm playing, I'm just so in the zone that I kind of block out everything else. I don't like when I'm playing my best magic. I don't think of the tournament at all. It's just there's just the game. There's just me and my opponent, and so it hasn't quite sunk in yet. But
does this help it sink in a little bit?
A little bit.
You get to take that thing home. Also, you're Rookie of the Year. Congratulations on that too.
Thank you.
So you just picked up kind of a double whammy here. Okay, so it hasn't quite sunk in yet for you. When is it going to sink in?
I don't know. Hopefully soon.
Hard to tell, I guess. I had a question I wanted to ask you about the match. One of the things we were talking about was how sideboarding was going to work. Basically, how your deck would look for games 2 through 5 if it got that far. Right. We were debating Feeling of Dread specifically. On the one hand, really, really powerful against Avacyn's Pilgrim. Can use basically just Rashad and port them until you're able to get enough lands to really get into gear. On the other hand, 8 hexproof creatures. Those can get really big, really fast. Totally dead against them. Was it a card? I mean, were you just positive it was going to remain in your deck for the latter games, or was it something that was kind of dubious for you?
Well, when I just first looked at their deck, we like in my team as well, we were boarding out 2 Feeling of Dreads.
Oh yeah.
But they tested the matchup. I got to sleep, so I've got a good team. And thanks to everybody who tested with me. You guys are awesome.
Good shout out.
But they found that actually it's one of the key cards in the matchup. That because you really needed to buy time, and most of their creatures don't have hexproof is the thing.
Right.
And Geist of St. Traft is the big important one, but you have your own Geist that you bring in, usually to Legend rule theirs. And Invisible Stalker is only really a threat with, often multiple things on it.
Sure.
So
some of which you can dissipate.
Damage. Right.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
And you just really want to buy time. Like that's the whole goal of the deck. You want to buy time until you hit a large entreat, and then you just usually kill them.
What about that last entreat? So we know that you had 2 entreats in your hand.
Yeah, I had one in my hand. I played Think Twice End of Turn. I drew another entreat, untapped, and then drew the 3rd entreat.
And just jammed down what, 5
angels. Yeah. Because his deck has certainly after board he has no ways at all to deal with the angel. Game 1, he has Silent Departure. So if I just make 2 angels, it's really bad for me potentially. But after board he has no ways other than dissipate.
Okay, so you play chess.
Yes.
Competitively.
A bit. I've been on and off. I haven't played for competitively for that long, like recently.
Okay, so I want to know, how does this match up with what you do in chess? Like going from game 4 into game 5. What's going through your mind as you sit down to play this versus in chess? Is it similar to you? Like, do you just sit down and you're in the zone, you're going to do what you're going to do, and the lights don't matter, who you're playing against doesn't matter, it's just about the game and you focusing on it? Or are you pretty nervous? Are your hands sweating? Are you thinking, what if I screw up? Everybody's watching. What's in your head?
Well, my hands are always sweating from a bit of nervousness, but
Sure.
but it's not. I'm not really thinking about the people watching. I'm definitely zoned in. I mean, from chess, I have a lot of practice of just focusing in and concentrating.
You looked pretty calm.
Oh, yeah.
Were you faking it?
No, I was calm. I mean,
He was. Yeah.
I basically when I came into top 8, I had sort of a free roll for me. I felt, I was already happy, and anything else was just bonus. And
Yeah,
I
it
was
makes a lot of
excited I got to play against John Finkel in the first round.
How crazy was that?
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was fun to watch.
The moment I wanted to ask you about, we were watching Game 4 of your final match,
Right.
and it looked like you really had it in the bag. I mean, you had a ton of lands in play, a ton of card drawing spells, but then you cast Tamio, whiff on the first activation, whiff the second time around. What did you think could go right in that match? What did you think could go wrong? What were you worried about the most from his deck? Once you got around to like turn 5, you're starting to cast your big spells. How did you think he could get out of that situation, and what were you trying to do about it?
Well, his hexproof creatures are always annoying because I certainly in that matchup I was boarding out Devastation Tide.
That makes sense.
Partly because it usually resets a bunch of his things, and including his enchantment that draws him cards.
Abundant growth.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And since after board, game 1, it's really a lot about me just entreating because he has no dissipates or anything.
Totally.
But post board, it's a lot more of an attrition match. I transform kind of into a more traditional control deck in a way.
Right.
Great. Canada. You're from there.
Yes.
And you're very happy to be representing Canada here, I think. Do you want to give any shout outs to your team, Team Anna Deprived?
Yes, and KYT, Captain Canada.
You've got Pascal Maynard.
Yes.
He tests with you as well. Is he here this weekend?
Yes, he's here.
Did he help you build the deck on the cruise?
No, it was me and David Kaplan on the cruise.
Okay.
Yes. It's the 3rd time now that we've collaborated, and one of the previous times he top 8 a Pro Tour, so
Works out nicely.
So.
You guys are definitely on the radar as the up-and-comers.
What made you sit down, look at all the miracles in Avacyn Restored, and say, I want to make a deck around these? Was it just the promise of raw power? Was it the idea to really try and build the best late game you could? There weren't a lot of blue decks at this tournament in general. How did you get to this point?
Well, really, I mean, first got sent a list by Noah Long, which was a Naya ramp list with playing Entreat the Angels.
Oh, cool.
And this was just like before the pre-release. And I looked at it, didn't like the list at all, but I liked Entreat the Angels. We thought, that's really pretty good because he explained it's sort of like Broodmate Dragon, but for 1 more mana if you have in your hand. But if you Miracle it, it's insane.
Totally.
So I thought that's good, but the problem with Miracle is that there's a lot of variance involved.
Of course.
So how do you combat the variance? Well, I thought you jam as many Miracle cards as you can. So then if every turn you're drawing you either have lands or miracles, you're going to hit miracles constantly.
Of course.
So the first version of the deck was playing red for Bonfire of the Damned and Thunderous Wrath, along with all the ones that are now.
Wow. Wow.
And the mana was a bit iffy.
Seems
Bonfire
like it.
was insane, so we switched to blue-white and just kept the other ones in because they were all very powerful, and just went from there. The deck struggled with some early aggro draws, but then late at night I was on the ship on the balcony just looking out into the middle of the Atlantic Ocean
Like
on
Titanic.
my laptop looking at the spoiler and listening to music, and I heard the song Hallelujah by John Cale come up.
Yeah.
And then looking through the spoiler I saw Feeling of Dread, and I was like,
And it just
that's the
hit
deck.
you?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Wow, that is awesome.
So-
and that card did a lot of work for you in the finals there.
Oh, it did. It's done a lot of work all the time. It's kind of like Time Walk with flashback.
It's one of my favorite limited cards.
Yeah. Oh, it's
And I
amazing.
was really happy to see it get playing
Yeah.
constructed.
One of my friends back home, P. Sams, he thanked me for playing Feeling of Dread in a constructed deck.
Oh, he did.
Well, that's what we were saying. It's like you just mentioned Miracle, high variance mechanic. Obviously, you want to get lucky and cast your Entreat the Angels for 6 on, when you have 8 lands in play. But you also don't just accidentally jam 4 Feeling of Dread in a constructed deck. So it sounds like you knew exactly what you were doing when you built this.
I mean, the whole point of the deck is to buy as many draw steps as you can, either on your opponent's turn or your turn. So you just keep buying time until eventually your opponent has no time because you just take all the turns. And sometimes you just entreat with a Time Walk in the stack and they just die.
Now, obviously, you just won a Pro Tour, so I'm sure you wouldn't, completely redo it. But is there anything you would change about your deck in hindsight?
I would change the sideboard.
Oh yeah.
There's much more Naya than we were expecting.
Right.
So we were expecting more red-white type, and even mono-red, which seemed to be not a player at all.
So Angel's Mercy.
Well, the Angel's Mercy's not bad against the mid-range decks that are trying to,
because again, just buying
with
time.
Devil's Play and stuff, and you can flash it back with a Snapcaster.
Oh, cool.
Like the Snapcaster's in the sideboard because there's not enough spells in the main deck to flash back, but in every matchup you board them in because you board in the spells that you want for that
makes
matchup.
Sense.
So it's kind of like extra copies. And the Cathedral Sanctifiers, those are the ones I would consider not playing for. They were never good.
Those didn't buy you enough draw steps?
No, they're not really. They were supposed to be kind of Feeling of Dread 5 through 8, but it didn't work out.
Okay.
Well,
Do you have anything else for Alexander here, Zach?
No, man. I mean,
I love your questions.
Phrases I thought I was not going to hear when I showed up to this tournament were, well, what the card was supposed to do was be Feeling of Dread number 5 through 8. That was how I was going to win a constructed Pro Tour. But I mean, that just goes to show, you innovate and it pays off. I mean, really amazing deck, man, and congratulations on both winning this Pro Tour and Rookie of the Year. It sounds like you earned it.
Congratulations, Alex.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're all really happy for you here, and we're going to wrap up this broadcast. You can just hang out with us for a minute. One of the things that you did get is there's a blank space on this page. This is for the 2012 Magic Players Championship, and you are now going to be invited to this. This is going to take place in Seattle at PAX on August 29th through 31st. And we have the official list.
Yes, indeed.
Shall we read?
Shall you read?
So
Please do
the 2011 Player of the Year was Owen Turtenwald. He gets an invite. The 2011 World Champion was Junya Ianaga. He gets an invite. 2011 Magic Online Champion was Reed Duke. He gets an invite. That's already a pretty nice start.
You're not doing too bad so far.
Pro Tour Philadelphia Champion was Samuela Estradi. He's in. Pro Tour Dark Ascension Champion was, of course, Brian Kibler.
I've heard of him, yeah.
He happens to be the U.S. National Champ, too, now we know that. Pro Tour Avacyn Restored Champion is sitting right next to me, Alexander Hayne. Congratulations. The top pro point getter for North America was Josh Utter-Layton. For Latin America, it was Palaviter Dama de Rosa. We kind of saw that one coming. The European top point getter was Martin Yuza. The top Japanese point getter was Yuya Watanabe. Top Asia Pacific, so this is the China region, I guess, was Su Ching Kuo, Southeast Asia. And then there was 5 at-large bids for the people that didn't fit on this list, but that had the most points otherwise. John Finkel, Luis Scott Vargas. We saw Shota Yasuoka this weekend have a really sweet deck, and he's in. David Ochoa made it, and the last spot goes to Shuhei Nakamura.
Not a bad lineup at all.
How do you think you're going to do it this thing? Yeah.
It's awesome, though. I'm really looking forward to playing against all those guys.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is going to be insane. I'm going to be there. I'm from Seattle. We're going to be doing coverage. I can't wait to see you there. Okay. Zach, we had a hell of a weekend, didn't we?
Yeah, we definitely did.
I mean,
a lot of talking.
Yeah, we did a lot of talking, but we had a good time. We are going to wrap up now. We are going to be at the World Magic Cup in Indianapolis and Gen Con on August 16th as well. So there's a big August coming up for us. But for now, on behalf of everybody here from Pro Tour Avacyn Restored, the entire coverage team from Wizards, and everybody else, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in August.